November 1973. Conflict and Compromise. The legendary John Lennon released his fourth studio album, Mind Games, in November 1973. It included the track One Day at a Time, which is apt, given what was going on in Northern Ireland at the time. When the political narrative changed daily, paramilitary groups announced ceasefires, and the whens and wheres of opening fire became a hot topic. Political developments in November 1973. November 1973 began with a pretty big milestone in the political sphere in Northern Ireland. Jamie Flanagan replaced Graham Shillington as the Chief Constable of the Royal Ulster Constabulary. Flanagan was the first Catholic to hold this post. In our March 1973 issue, we read about the IRA exploding 2 car bombs in London and injuring over 200 people. On the 14th of November in London, 9 people were found guilty of planting the bombs. 8 of those found guilty received life sentences. Of these, 6 admitted to membership of the Irish Republican Army. From public records that were released on the 1st of January 2003, we found out that the head of Defence Secretariat 10, Mr. A.W. Stevens, wrote a letter to Mr. V.H.S. Benham at the Northern Ireland office in London on the 16th of November about Operation Folklore. Within the letter, the ability of a soldier to open fire was top of the agenda. In my first paragraph, I said that the annex to this letter contained most of the extra powers we considered necessary. The exception is a power of a different sort, and it seems easiest to consider it separately. We feel strongly that, in the wholly abnormal situation envisaged, it would be essential for a soldier to be able to open fire without fear of legal penalty in certain circumstances where, under the present law, a court would consider that he had acted unlawfully. The situations we envisage include a. Opening fire without warning on persons merely carrying firearms, that is, without having to be satisfied that they were about to use them, etc. b. Opening fire at persons breaking a curfew who failed to halt when challenged, and c. Opening fire in certain other situations, for example at persons who fail to halt when challenged, in areas designated by the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, or perhaps the General Officer commanding the British Army in Northern Ireland as special areas, which would typically be exceptionally hard areas in which the Army needed to regain control, and which might or might not correspond with areas under curfew. Another key event in the Troubles occurred on the 18th of November, when the UVF leadership declared a ceasefire to allow the political process to develop. The ceasefire would last for 43 days. From Brian Hanley and Scott Miller's book, The Lost Revolution, the story of the official IRA and the Workers' Party, as well as a Daily Mirror article from the 19th of November 1973, it's reported that the official IRA announced they were establishing auxiliary defence groups to guard nationalist areas against sectarian attacks by loyalist paramilitaries. Around this time, a secret squad to carry out revenge attacks was also formed. The grouping never claimed responsibility and was kept unknown even within the official IRA. This is quite interesting because it wasn't uncommon for residents in key areas to be part of a vigilante/neighbourhood watch group. On the 20th of November, the policy-making branch of the Ulster Unionist Party, the Ulster Unionist Council, voted by 379 to 369 in favour of power sharing. During a meeting that day between Brian Faulkner and Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, William Whitelaw, Mr. Faulkner said that it had been a tough battle. He had won, but only by a small margin. This showed how far he had pushed his people, but also how fragile relationships within the leadership of UUP were becoming. The following day, an agreement was reached between various political parties about the establishment of a power-sharing executive to govern Northern Ireland. An emotional William Whitelaw appeared on the steps of Stormont following the final negotiations. The executive was to consist of 11 members. The actual composition was to be 6 Faulknerite Unionists, 4 SDLP, and 1 Alliance Party. There were also to be 4 non-executive office holders, who would not have a vote, 2 SDLP, 1 Unionist, and 1 Alliance Party. British Prime Minister Edward Heath appointed the new executive on the 22nd of November 1973. Brian Faulkner was to become the chief executive and Jerry Fitt was to be his deputy. Politicians in Britain and the Republic of Ireland welcomed news of the executive, but Loyalists rejected the proposals. The matter of the Council of Ireland was left outstanding and would be addressed in December 1973. With progress being made and a sense of duty now established across all the major political parties in Northern Ireland, one would assume that things would kick on and have a positive impact on the ongoing conflict. However, on the 28th of November 1973, less than 1 week after Edward Heath appointed the new executive, Assembly proceedings were halted due to verbal assaults on those who had been named as members of the proposed executive. The disruption was caused by Loyalists and those opposed to the new executive. Eventually, the meeting of the Assembly had to be adjourned. Nothing's ever straightforward in politics. Shootings in November 1973. November 1st. The UVF shot and killed Catholic civilian Daniel Carson, 28, as he drove out of his workplace on Dayton Street, Belfast. November 6th. An IRA sniper shot and killed patrolling British soldier John Aikman, 25, in Newtown, Hamilton, County Armagh. November 7th. The UDA shot and killed Catholic civilian Robert McCaffrey, 18, outside his workplace on the Springfield Road, Belfast. Elsewhere in Belfast, the UFF claimed responsibility for shooting a man as he sat in the cab of his lorry. November 13th. Civilian Bernard Teggett, 15, was found shot near Floral Hall Zoological Gardens, Antrim Road, Belfast. The IRA claimed he was an informer. November 14th. Civilian John Lundy, 61, was killed during an IRA sniper attack on a British Army observation post on Moira Street, Short Strand, Belfast. Civilian Kathleen Feeney, 14, was killed during an IRA sniper attack on a British Army patrol on Lecky Road, Derry. November 15th. The RUC shot and killed IRA volunteer Michael McVery, 23, during a gun attack on the Keady British Army/RUC base, County Armagh. November 18th. IRA snipers fired shots at a Saracen armoured vehicle in the Clonard area, as well as at 2 British Army patrols in the Lower Ormo area, and an RUC station at Glengormley. November 24th. The British Army shot and killed IRA youth volunteer Michael Marley, 17, during a bomb attack on a British Army patrol at Divis Flats, Belfast. November 25th. The IRA shot and killed 2 patrolling British soldiers, Joseph Brooks, 20, and Heinz Pisarek, 30, at Rossville Flats in the Bogside, Derry. November 26th. The IRA shot and killed civilian Anthony Braden, 58, who was driving his car along Jamaica Street in Ardoyne, Belfast. November 27th. The British Army shot and killed IRA volunteer Desmond Morgan, 18, as he tried to hijack a car in Coal Island, County Tyrone. Bombings in November 1973. November 1st. The UVF exploded a bomb at the Avenue Bar, Belfast. It killed Catholic civilian Francis McNellis, 65. November 5th. The official IRA was blamed for a 50-pound, 23 kilograms bomb that wrecked a milking parlour on the estate of Sir Richard Keane at Belmont Cappoquin, County Waterford. The blast followed threats related to a dispute between Sir Richard and his 65 tenants in Cappoquin over ground rents. November 8th. Civilian Francis McCoy, 33, died 11 days after being injured when he detonated a booby-trap bomb on his farm, Carnteal, Ornacloy, County Tyrone. November 9th. The UVF exploded a bomb at the Sunflower Bar, Belfast. It killed Protestant civilian William Wallace, 62. November 12th. The UVF detonated 3 bombs in Armagh and 1 more in Quinn's Bar in Dungannon. Several people were injured. The UFF claimed responsibility for detonating 6 car bombs in Belfast in the space of 2 hours. The bombs targeted 4 pubs, a petrol station, and the former SDLP headquarters. 13 people were injured and many buildings were badly damaged. November 18th. UVF member Charles Logan, 26, was killed when his bomb prematurely exploded at a farmhouse in Desert Martin. On the same day, a 500-pound UVF bomb destroyed shops and flats in the Catholic Newington area of North Belfast. November 24th. Patrolling British soldier David Roberts, 25, was killed by an IRA landmine near Carlingford Street, Crossmaglen, County Armagh. November 25th. 6 rockets and heavy gunfire hit Balik RUC base, County Fermanagh. The attack came from across the border. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tales of the Troubles. If you liked it, please like and share with like-minded people. Stay tuned and enable notifications so that you don't miss the next episode.